Alrighty, so welcome to Megan Sullivan Art, everybody. I have a journal share for you. I've got 3 Australian wildflower journals to share with you, which are all one signature, and they all have very similar page counts. So this red one has 108 pages. The pinky one here has 104, and this also one has 104 pages. And I also have yet another Christmas journal to share with you as well. So this is only a little teeny tiny one, but it does actually have 100 pages. So yeah, so I'm going to share the Christmas one with you first and leave all of these 3 till the end. And I apologise if you can see any of the junk on my desk. That's just going to have to come with how things are. So this is, let me get my giant ruler. It is about 15 centimetres by 16 centimetres. So it's one signature, 100 pages. It's fabric, so it's you know, like a cereal box in, you know, inner cardboard covered with fabric. These particular Christmassy themed fabric pieces I got from, let's just say, a second-hand shop. That's just easier, just to say a second-hand. And I've just glued those down to the cover. It's sewn in with a 5 pamphlet hole stitch using green wax linen. This little jingly jangly came from an earring, and I've just taken that off and sewn that on with wax linen, as you can see. And I've got, you know, ink stained hands, of course, from inking all the pages. This is a brooch. I got some beautiful brooches off of eBay for a really good price. This is actually clipped on and then also glued underneath this fabric piece. So if you really wanted to, you could remove it. And the bells do actually shift up and out of the way when you're going to journal. And we've got a green satin type ribbon. So I haven't actually used a journal kit for this as such, but I did actually find a beautiful little book from 1969 called The Night Before Christmas. So that's why it's this size, because this is how big the book was. So I decided to size it all to match the actual book pages itself. So it's all here in its entirety, and it's in order. So in the front section here, so it's got a fabric liner to the spine, so it does actually lay really flat. There's no breaking of papers or anything. I did punch out, as you'll see through the book, a lot of wrapping paper, circles and scallops to use as decorations. There are a few little glittery stickers throughout. And the images are largely public domain images, such as these 2, onto like a snowflake icicle kind of thing. These tags and images are from Lavender Blue shop, Lavender Blue Art, her Christmas digital kit, which I did as a design team project for her. This is like a leather look paper, which I got from Cheapest Chips in Kadina in South Australia, and I've just used a bit of a champagne coloured ink just to ink around the edges of that. And this is just coffee dyed paper, which has been glued down for the pocket. So that's all that is there. Yeah, so book page, and I have used some punching, and what I've done there is I've just used a champagne coloured metallic ink just to ink around that, just so that it stands out against the other pages behind it, which are also coffee dyed. There are some little blingy, you know, bits and pieces here and there, some punched out circles, using just mainly wrapping paper and some vintage music paper. There's another punched corner. This is another public domain image. This is from Lavender Blue Arts kit, and it just forms a tuck spot, so it basically folds over the page and you can tuck in either of those spots. This is another one of the punches that my friend got me second hand, which I just love. Book page. These are 2 tags from Lavender Blue Arts shop. Another decorative element there. Punching. So it's all repetitive basically. So it's the same 2 punches, the same coloured ink. And it's basically, it's meant to be either a writing journal or you can stick some pictures in of your Christmas memories over the next few years basically. So there is still room to decorate and still, you know, room to make it your own. There's 2 tags here. These are from Lavender Blue Art as well. Yeah, so plenty of scope. But I just sort of make it a bit decorative. This is the same paper as what lines the inside of the cover, and I've just glued those over the signature strings, which is a theme you'll see through all of the journals I'm going to show you tonight. Another public domain image. Another blingy piece there, and they're all glued down as well, so they're definitely not going to be going anywhere on you. 2 more Lavender Blue Art tags. Sorry, got to show you that one. Yes, I just wanted the punching to stand out. I probably should have done it in red or the green, but I wasn't too sure how that was going to look. So this is another one of the baubles which forms a tuck. Great for a photo, for example. This is another public domain image, which is a postcard. Jolly Santa. So this red in the background is tracing paper that I have dyed red with fabric dye, and then I've ironed. And the pocket at the back has 2 public domain images, both on that snowflake kind of background or icicle background. And this is another one of the Lavender Blue Art tags as well. They do actually have like a scalloped top, but I've just cut them into a simple, you know, easy to cut out tag. But that was just, you know, me being impatient. This is a piece of wrapping paper, and I've just used a scallop punch to punch out the top of the reindeer, and a glittery Tin Man sticker, and Happy Christmas to all. Yeah, and the snowman on the back. So there you go. So that's a really cute little journal, and there's enough pages in there that it would actually last you for at least, you know, 2 or 3 Christmases, depending on how you journal and what you wish to put in it, really. So that one will be at the Alice Plaza Night Markets on Monday the 28th of October, which is tomorrow night. If not, it will, I don't know where it will go. Maybe kept aside for the United States next year. Okay, so these 3 journals, which are my wildflower, Australian wildflower journals, are all the same size, same kind of format. Just slightly different book pages. They all have the same stencils that I've used, which is Craft Stall Designer Stencil Set, and I've used all of these images through all of the journals, and I've just colour coordinated the inks that I've used, which are Tim Holtz Distress inks, to match the colours of the journals. So that's all the same through these. On the inside lining of these journals, which you'll see, I've used a leather type paper, which again, I bought this from Cheapest Chips in probably Kadina, I think, in South Australia. Or any Cheapest Chips is probably likely to have it. So that's where I got this from. And the outer cover of all of these 3, I bought at Spotlight in Adelaide, which is Designer Squares Australian Florals by Jocelyn Proust. And I just love them. So you get 3 sheets of each design. It's 180 GSM, which is really quite thick, so perfect for a cover, especially if you're going to line it with something, you know, and yeah, it's just gorgeous. And some of them are the same pattern but just with different colorways, so with a white background or a black background or whatever it might be. But yeah, just, you know, and I love gum leaves. I do a lot of, most of my eco dyeing is gum leaves up here. Yeah, so that's that Designer Squares Australian Florals paper pad, which I was very excited to find. Okay, so let's have a flip through these. So as I said, they're all, you know, similar principle, made exactly the same. So this one is a bottle brush cover. We have the red, dark red leather look paper as the spine. These panels have all been stitched around and then glued down onto the leather paper. So it's quite a sturdy cover, but it's still very flexible. I had a whole heap of eco-dyed, I don't know, watercolour paper or thicker kind of papers that I decided I needed to use. So I just decided to cut them all into tags. So they're all the same, pretty much the same size. And they just feature some of the different Central Australian plants that you'll find around Alice Springs. So you can write on those, you can chop them up, you can do whatever you like. And I've used the coordinating paper to form the pockets on the inside. So there's that red leather look paper. I had a book on Australian wildflowers, which I cut out all of the pictures. I then typed up the name or botanical name where it was supplied for the photos. And these are all backed onto just different scraps or pieces of eco-dyed paper. Some are really beautiful, and you know, and others are very detailed, and others are just more of a washed kind of a background. So, but it just gives an element rather than just a basic page that they're sewn onto. And I can't work out what's going on with the tension of my sewing machine, so you get this really wonky kind of stitching, but I actually really quite like that. So anyway, so that is that. So this is a bush pea Portinea stipularis, is that piece there. And the plants that I've included in the journals relate to some of the book pages in here. So that's where I've kind of tried to tie it together. I've done my first real piece of stenciling using Tim Holtz Distress Inks. This is Barn Door is the name of the coloured ink for this one. And it's using that stencil sheet that I showed you before. This is an old, well, probably a vintage garden book, probably back to the 1970s. Just some nice coloured illustrations through there. And it is Australian. A bit more stenciling. And this is all coffee dyed paper. We've got two pieces of ephemera here onto eco dyed paper. And they relate to the types of plants that you'll see on this particular book page. We've got some of my more original eco-dyed papers. Some more stenciling. This is a book just on eucalypts, and it's all just illustrated panels. And I can't believe I found it in Alice Springs. So I wasn't going to not leave that behind. So I'm getting used to stenciling, and so I did actually go over the edge. So I do apologise there, but you can write on it. It's not going to detract from you writing or using the journal. These are all bitter pea plants, parrot peas, egg and bacon plant, which I did actually have one already done, ready to go. So I've tied that up with the egg and bacon plant. We've got a golden glory pea. This is some more eco-dyed paper. It's watercolour paper. More stenciling, coffee dyed, more eco-dyed paper, eucalypt book, bush peas, globe peas, sprays, mulla, which we get a lot of in Alice. Beautiful illustrations on these books, just incredible. This was dark because it was at the bottom of the pan, and the pan is a little bit rusty, so it kind of come up this really grungy colour, but I love it. Some more stenciling. So there's heaps and heaps of space to write and add your own elements to this. And obviously the journal cards you can glue in and put in as you like. This is actually bark. This really dark section is bark, and these are eucalyptus leaves, just literally from outside my front gate. And I did add some coffee to this particular water for that dye bath. There is a book I found at the Australia Post outlet here in Alice Springs, which is a colouring in book for Australian birds and wildflowers. So you get, so when the book's open, you'll get the coloured version, the coloured plate here, and this version on the other side. So they don't marry up, obviously, in this book, but it still gives you something to do if you're stuck at an appointment and they're not ready or whatever. No worries. Then you've got this beautiful coloured plate here, and here's those 2 wax linen pieces with the discs of the paper, front and back. And again, you know, you could add some gold, add some bling, whatever you wanted to do to those particular pieces. Eucalyptus book. I mean, I've never been able to recreate this amount of patterning on eucalyptus leaves since, so total fluke, that one. This here I will actually tape up as we speak. Just get that sorted out. That ain't gonna work. This was just some washi tape my friend got me second hand, which is obviously a bit, maybe a little bit old. That's why it's probably a bit brittle. Anyway, let's go to the masking tape. Just want to fix that up while I'm thinking of it. Yeah, so all 3 of these wildflower journals are the same in that they have the same stencils, the same kind of book pages. Obviously they'll be different, obviously not repetitive book pages, but all from the same books that I've used. Okay, so there's that one. More stenciling, one of those darker pages, eucalypts. Over here we have Banksia related pieces to relate to the Banksias over here. These are all backed onto eco-dyed cardstock. Another acorn Banksia, which we have an acorn or hooker's Banksia here. So that ties in. Eucalyptus, eco-dyed, stenciled. And I haven't completely stripped out all of this book yet, so I'm sure there will be some other journal cards that will relate, or some other images that will relate to those book pages when I do my next set of these wildflower journals. My eco-dyed, original eco-dyed papers. Here we have a bottle brush, Hey Kia, which, you know, are just prolific here in Alice Springs, and they are incredible when you dye with them. Just such strong results, it's crazy. This is a silver Banksia onto eco-dyed card, so that's really quite thick, that one. And then we have another card, eco-dyed tag there, sorry. So that's that one. This one has 104 pages, the last one had 108. This one has a more orangey, glittery kind of inner. This is a Waratah Tilapia Speciosima onto really thick watercolour card, that one. Then we also have an Australian Golden Wattle onto eco-dyed paper. And then we also have a tag, which was called Little John, was actually the plant that I used to dye that with, which is like looks a bit, it's still a Hakea, but it looks a bit like a mini version of a bottle brush. It's only a very low ground cover. So I've gone with the purple, you know, to match in with the cover. So purple stenciling throughout this journal. Same stencils. We've got Banksias. Then we've got some Grevilleas here to match the pink Poker's Grevillea there. They're all on eco-dyed paper. Same through all 3 journals. We've got, what have we got here? This is actually a Cootamundra Wattle on this one here. Eco-dyed paper. Eucalyptus. Eco-dyed originals there. A rice flower a slender rice flower to match in. Exactly the same species as well. This is bottlebrush. This is in a full flower hakea, which I've laid down and then squashed in between or weighted down. And you'll see the other side of that soon. West Australian golden wattle to tie in with some of the wattles over this side. Colouring in book page. Beautiful image with the orange cardstock as per the lining. We've got a prickly Moses, which ties in with the prickly Moses over here. Eco dyed. That's the other side of the bottle brush. It was really, really dark, that result. But, you know, just incredible. This is one of the drying racks that I use that have the lines. So it kind of is really great that it just leaves like a beautiful lined area for writing. Eucalyptus. This one I will paper clip on. Sorry, I forgot to do that. It's a Dryandra polycephala. Yep, no relation to that, to the actual book pages in this one. We've got a poached egg daisy, which is in one of the other journals. These are all over the place in Central Australia when it rains. We've got a Sydney garden wattle there. Beautiful blooms. There's Dryandras. Maybe I should move that. Let's do that. Where is it? Yeah, let's move that. Because it's not in the right posie. Where are we? Dryandras. Yay! Here we go. That will make a lot more sense when it's actually with the right page. There we go. Native flowers. We're talking about native flowers in that book. The back pocket has the poached egg daisies, Myrocephalus stewarti, and another eco-dyed page, which is very textural, that one. Eco-dyed tag, sorry, I should say. And that's backed onto eco-dyed paper. You can see some of the seed pods of the plant that I actually used for that. So that is that one. Then we also have this particular one, which is the stamping. The ink that I used was a Tim Holtz Distress ink called Mermaid Lagoon. This one also has 104 pages, and it's got this bright vivid blue of that leather look paper. And we have a Grevillea terradidifolia there on eco-dyed paper. And we also have a tag which does have the blues in the background, which ties in with the cardstock lining. And the ink, some orchids. This is bark, and these are gum leaves. So the really dark spots are bark on that particular paper. More of the eucalyptus book, the garden book. Some more stenciling, eco-dyed paper. We've got Grevillea here. We've got a Banks Grevillea card here. Eucalyptus paper. Eco-dyed paper. Again, the lines from the drying rack. This was gorgeous, this eco-dye. This is one of the first ever eco-dyes that I did, and it was just literally vinegar, white vinegar and water, and I got that result. Just incredible. We've got lots of Grevilleas on this page. Beautiful. Lamatias, Hakeas, Waratahs, Verbines. Colouring in page. Again with the blue to match in with the lining. Here we have a Sturt Desert Pea, which matches in with the, I think it's the Desert Pea on this side, Sturt's Desert Pea on this side. We've got more Grevilleas. There's a lot of Grevilleas. A Grevillea eristotia. Here's another one of my eco-dyed cards. This is the other side, so you can see the tannins that came out of those gum leaves were incredible. Grevillea's spider flowers. We have a red spider flower here, which ties in with that book page. More stenciling, eco dyeing, snapdragons. Yeah, so Mermaid Lagoon is the name of this ink, in case you're wondering. So this, the bark did actually pierce the paper, so just be aware of that. Still plenty of room to journal around those or stick something over the top. A grey spider flower. More hakeas, needlebush, and the back. This one has a large paper flower, Thomasia macrocarpa, onto an eco-dyed piece, and drying rack has also left these lines on that journal card. So that's, yeah, just a basic background. You could further collage on that or just journal on it, stick a photo on it, whatever you choose. So that is the third of the Wildflower Journals of Australia. There will no doubt be more. Anyway, so thank you for watching. Hopefully this journal went well and you can actually see what I was talking about. And yeah, so these will all be available in Alice Springs tomorrow night, Monday the 28th of October, in Alice Plaza at the night markets there. Failing that, if they happen to not sell, I'm undecided yet as to where they'll go, whether they'll go to Central Craft in Alice Springs, or whether I'll send them over to Lindsay Zenor from Nevermore Creations 17 for her shop over there in America, which is in Tennessee, or I'll just hoard the Christmas journals until 2020, maybe middle of the year, and I'll send them over to Lindsay Zenor for sale over there. Anyway, hope for the best. Thank you very much. See you on the next video.